All right, I think I'm good to go now. So, as the message says for this event is basically going to cover the new county order that has been signed by Judge Eichhardt and goes into effect tonight, all the way until May 8th. Um, and so I know it has not been posted yet. We just received this, went through it, highlighted a lot of different areas throughout this whole order, and I felt that given some of the different concerns, some of the additional guidance that needs to kind of be put out as far as what this means from all 12 different pages, right? Wanted to speak to that directly. And definitely, as you feel that you meet one of these categories, please reach out to City Hall. So, though that situation can be vetted by our chief of police, the fire chief, battalion fire chief, who also implements and enforces the county order, so we can make sure those that do meet or have an exception that warrant their ability to be able to have their business open, be able to provide services that are considered essential or needed, we can make sure that you are able to do that and able to do it within the policies within the new county order. So now let's go into this. So this county order is County Judge Order number 2020-7, and it relates to the declaration regarding COVID-19. The title of it is Stay Home, Work Safe. And what you see on here, or when you will have to be able to read it once it is officially posted and so forth, on page 2, down within section 1, stay at home or place of residence. It says the county judge deems it is in the public interest to issue this order effective as of 11:59 p.m. on April 13th, 2020, and continuing until 11:59 p.m. on May 8th, 2020, unless terminated or modified by a subsequent order. Okay, so this will go into effect midnight on the 13th, all the way till May 8th, midnight. And then on page 3, something that is new. You've seen this implemented in Bastrop County. It is now going to be implemented here within Travis County. So I wanted to get this brief to you all, or this explanation of the county to you all as soon as possible, so you can be able to make sure you are properly prepared and have all the items and things that you need to be able to uh, fall in accordance with this order. And so, page 3, uh, paragraph B says face covering requirements. Because an infected person can transmit the COVID-19 virus to others before showing any symptoms, the covering of a person's nose and mouth is necessary to help slow the spread of the virus. Therefore, when leaving one's residence, all persons over the age of 10 shall wear some form of covering over their nose and mouth, such as a homemade mask, scarf, bandana, or handkerchief, except when 1. Alone in a separate single place, whether indoor or outdoor. 2. The presence only of other members of one's household or residence, whether inside or outside the residence. 3. When doing so poses some type of major mental or physical health and safety or risk. All right, major. Number 4, when engaged in outdoor activity as defined by section 6B, sub item 3. Um, and so again, that is that covering of a person's nose and mouth is necessary when leaving one's residence, all persons over the age of 10. Okay? So that's page 3. That is new. That will go into effect at midnight. So no, that means when you leave your residence, you need to have something covering your nose or mouth. That means you will be turned around at Walmart or any other type of establishment if you're not adhering to the new order. Okay, so make sure you have those items. you've seen the different videos that are out there as far as how to put a wrap around your face using a bandana or a scarf or some type of item. You do not need to go out and rush and try to get a mask. That is not required. Just as long as you have something that's going to stop. Um, uh, when you happen to talk, you might happen to spray a little bit, something that can capture that moisture so it does not get spread out. Okay. Page 4, section 3, prohibited prohibited gatherings. This is another significant change in the order. Prohibited gatherings, all indoor or outdoor public and private gatherings of any number of people occurring outside a single household or residence are prohibited except for the limited purpose expressly permitted by this order and subject to social distancing and face covering requirements. All right. Nothing in this order prohibits the gathering of members of a household within the household's residence. So, I know a lot of us have been going and visiting family members, loved ones that we live very close to. That is now prohibited. Unfortunately, we're going to have to utilize telephone, FaceTime, Zooming, our different social medias to be able to engage and talk with each other more. So, until now, I mean, for now, midnight of April 13th to midnight of May 8th, social gathering outside of your own home of residence, people that live within your home of residence, right? The people you live with is now restricted. You can only be with them that they're engaging even outdoors, indoors. A lot of times walking through the HOA, you see individuals sitting out on the porch socializing in the garage or whatever it may be. Now it is restricted only to people living within your actual home of residence. Essential travel, section 4. For essential travel in section 4, basically says, and it's just reiterating that all travel, including but not limited to traveling on foot, bicycle, scooter, motorcycle, automobiles, boats, any other type of transit, is prohibited unless you're going to do some type of essential activity, going to an essential business, or involved with some type of essential capacity. So basically, again, further restricting, just re-highlighting that unless you're going to do something that is critical or essential as laid out and identified within this order is prohibited. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Page 4, section 4, essential travel. Going over to page 5, uh, section B, essential activities. We talked about this before, especially regarding golf courses and so forth. So essential activities. The only thing that I wanted to highlight in here again was for outdoor activities. Basically, is individuals are exempted from the face covering requirements of section 1B while engaging in outdoor activity if alone in a separate single outdoor space. 2, individuals not of the same household or residence are maintaining consistent separation of 6 feet or more while engaging in outdoor activity. 3, in the presence of only other members of one's household and are maintaining consistent separation of 6 feet or more from people that are not of that group's household. And again, if it creates some severe critical physical health, safety, or security risk. So again, you're supposed to wear this covering of the nose and the mouth at all times when you go outside of your residence, except if you're among your family near your residence, or if you're out doing an outdoor activity, as long as the social distancing is being adhered by everyone that is involved. All right. And then you have going down to item 4, to take care of others. Here's the piece here is considered essential activity because I know there were questions regarding the volunteers of the task forces that are operating under Manor's emergency management plan, the emergency response team, and those task forces. I know there's questions regarding other social organizations, philanthropic organizations, churches, and so forth. So, I want to highlight a couple things that are in this order that has some of the same verbiage in the other ones, but more fleshed out this go around. And basically it says here to take care of others, to care for a family member or pet in another household, or care for dependents in persons with disabilities or other vulnerable persons. So most of the task forces that you see Monique Celadon in the COVID-19 disaster relief group. They are specifically taking care of what the city has identified as vulnerable persons and individuals with physical disabilities. Right. So they're operating within this guideline. They're operating within a essential business or activity as deemed by the city of Manor to be able to take care of the individuals within city limits in extraterritorial jurisdiction. Going to page 6, on page 6, it talks about critical infrastructure. Now, before I started, I said that if you believe your business operates in one of these exempted areas, you need to reach out to City Hall. And the reason is in here within D, critical infrastructure, it says critical infrastructure means all public and private facilities and assets, including both physical and cyber systems and other functions and sectors vital to the security, governance, public health, safety, and economic stability, right, of the county of Travis and municipalities. So if you believe that your organization, if you believe your business is providing some major type of economic sustainability for the city of Manor, you need to be able to highlight that and be able to define that. The big key piece is data is crucial. Emotions and passion, unfortunately, is we have to look at the data. We have to be able to see what you're selling and what your business is doing, and also what potentially the revenue stream and so forth is. That by closing you down, it will be very detrimental to the city when we're trying to get the business and the economy back rolling, right? The goal is to try to get businesses operating at the minimum basic operation level, so that when it's time to re-roll back our economy, they are able to be successful and get fully started back up. Our goal is not to just put restrictions on organizations and businesses without really truly delving into what can and can't be done by the order by the guidance of this order. And then when it comes time for us to restart our economy, those businesses have to close their doors because we were not able to work something out so they could be able to survive through the long haul of this pandemic, to see success on the other side. Now going over to page 7. Page 7, healthcare operations. There's a key paragraph in here, and I know a lot of people were upset the with the stance of the city regarding golf clubs, or actually individuals wanting to go golfing. Same thing with individuals that may want to go fishing. Well, here, healthcare operations. There's a paragraph that specifically says healthcare operations do not include fitness and exercise gyms, indoor or outdoor recreational clubs, or other similar facilities, except to the extent that such businesses are able to function under minimum basic operations, sponsoring virtual or outdoor fitness activities compliant with the social distancing requirements and face covering requirements of Section 1 and Exhibit B and D. So when I talked about the golfing piece, it was basically saying, again, no engagement or interaction by the employees with the customer, and also the customer having to adhere to the previous orders. It's going to be the same situation here, and it's basically laid out that all registering of tee times will happen online. All exchange of money will happen online. They get to the parking lot, they walk up to a designated assigned golf cart that's already pre-staged. They get in, they go to the tee line, and they are pretty much out there for about almost 4 hours, walking around, because they still got to walk the courses and so forth, and getting their physical activity in for roughly about 4 hours during that whole 18 holes. Then once they get done, they drop the keys off into a designated area, Those golf carts cannot be reused again. Unlike Walmart or HEB grocery stores where you use the carts and they're cleaned off that same day for another customer to be able to use them. The difference here is it's a 1 day use, one time 1 day use. And once they drop the golf cart off with the keys, they go back to their car and they go home, right? Or we hope they go home. They may go to other locations, similar to individuals that go to Walmart may go to other different locations. Same way as someone that's stopping to go to a fast food restaurant may stop and go to other different locations. So the piece of this is in the healthcare operations is except to the extent that such businesses are able to function under minimum basic operations, sponsoring virtual or outdoor fitness activities compliant with social distancing aspects. And then here, I know there were some individuals that on my last talking about the golf course and so forth, they were talking about Buddies and a couple other different stores and so forth. Again, if you feel that your business meets or warrants an exception, please make sure you provide the information, provide the data. I don't know the ins and outs of every business. So we need your assistance. We need you to be able to provide that information. But I'll say there's a key sentence in here for stores that sell groceries and certain other essential supplies. In it, it says this includes stores that sell groceries and also sell other non-grocery products and products necessary to maintain the safety, sanitation, and essential operation of residences. That for essential businesses, critical infrastructure, and essential government services. The key word there is includes stores that sell groceries and now, what we're going to be looking at from the City Hall side is what is the main function of your business? If the main function of your business is majority something other than groceries, you may not get that exception. All right. We are looking at when you created your organization, when you created your business, up until now, what is the actual main function? What is the actual main role and service of your business? Okay. Going down again to social services and charitable organizations. If you fall within a social service or a charitable organization, know that businesses that provide food, shelter, and social services and other necessities of life for economically disadvantaged or otherwise needy individuals. Okay, that's the key area of exception. Once again, I recommend that as a social service or a charitable organization, you tie into what the city has established as task forces. That would be Monique Celadon. That would be Father Alex. That would be Dr. Karen Smith. Right? You need to tie into one of these organizations so that line of you being able to stay open and provide services is very clear cut, right? If there is any doubt, or if there's any question in the clarity of what your role and function is as an organization, you will not receive the exception here within the City of Manor, okay? Um, Now, moving on to critical trades. Critical trades here, what I want to highlight is they must be necessary to maintaining the safety, sanitation, and essential operation of residences, essential activities, essential businesses, essential government services, and critical infrastructure. Right? That is what's considered an exception for individuals that may be critical trades. So once again, if you cannot tie in, I recommend as the volunteer list that Monique Celadon and her team are doing, we're highlighting per FEMA guidance what your role significance is. So if we need you for something particular to what the city needs to do regarding its emergency management plan, you can be activated up underneath one of these stipulations within the order. If you're not tied in, the issue you may have is you may be in violation. And once identified, you may be informed by our chief of police or the fire chief for ESD 12 that you have to cease and desist, right? Moving on to page 9, food delivery services. I know there are some concerns regarding food delivery outside of just restaurants and grocery stores. So food delivery services, businesses that ship or deliver groceries, foods, goods, or services directly to residences, right? And so our task force are tied to the city of Manor, right? Our task forces are an extension to the city of Manor, so they are considered essential and critical efforts that are tied to the municipality. Let's see here. Now, again, speaking on minimum basic operations on page 12. So, for the minimum operations, on page 12, it basically says again, for the purpose of this order, minimum basic operations include the following, provided that employers and employees comply with the requirements of Section 1 and Exhibit B and D while carrying out such operations. And it says the minimum necessary activities to maintain the value of the business's inventory, ensure security, process payroll and employee benefits, or for related functions. Now remember, you have depending upon that organization, its business inventory may differ. And so if you have, for an example, if you have a business that is not necessarily groceries, it's not necessarily food or anything like that, right? And it requires some type of maintenance, weekly maintenance, daily maintenance, right? You need to be able to uh, clearly articulate and define how that is one of your major pieces of inventory. That if you do not do that maintenance and something goes wrong with it, or is non-usable, how it can then jeopardize your operation when it's time to roll back the economy. Okay, so please keep that in mind under minimum basic operations. And then also says the minimum necessary activities to facilitate employees and clients of the business to continue to work and to receive services remotely from their residences. All right. Going down to, so that's all of the actual order that I wanted to highlight. Now, going into some of the appendixes that I wanted to highlight here too. Section E of one of the first appendixes talks about individual gatherings. And number one for individual gatherings says all non-essential indoor and outdoor gatherings of any number of people outside of a single household or dwelling shall be canceled or postponed. So once again, it is going back to in the actual order when it talked about the social distancing, that engagements and hanging out and socializing physically should only be with those individuals within your household. Okay, I know some of you are probably going to be doing walks, stopping, seeing your friends and talking for a little bit. Please do not use and abuse that. Please do not. The whole intent of this is to try to make sure that we get this initial wave of the COVID-19 cases as far to the right. It's going to happen. It's inevitable, but we're trying to get as far to the right to a potential vaccine as possible. So when we start to see the spike in cases, we start to see the increase of people in hospitals, we start to see the increase of people in ICU beds, we potentially have a vaccine that is viable. And for us as local municipality, as the county, as a state, have more structures in place to be able to take care of more people in need, right? And then going to uh, under H, it says here for businesses that must operate under a minimum basic operations, limit or restrict the number of customers or visitors permitted in a workplace at one time. So once again, we are still adhering. If you have minimal operations, it's takeout facilities, Walmart, right? Anywhere else, even the golf course, right? When you have those customers coming up, you need to put things in place that mitigates as much as possible grouping, gatherings, right? If you do not, and you're starting to be in violation and it becomes habitual, you will be shut down. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Don't want to hear any excuses about it. You're getting the order right now. The order hasn't not. There's only a couple of things that have changed in this order. We've been doing it for a month now. So please do not abuse the process. And then moving on to Exhibit C, critical infrastructure and essential services. Item number 3 says this order should not be construed to hinder construction for essential services and essential critical infrastructure workforce. So if you have any questions regarding performing construction, if you are within that industry, you need to reach out to City Hall and get clarification. I know clarification has already gone out, but if you just want to make sure that you still meet those guidelines to be able to operate, then please reach out to City Hall. And now going over to the last exhibit, Exhibit D, face covering requirements. Now it says here, a significant percentage of individuals with the COVID-19 virus lack symptoms. Key piece, majority, a significant percentage, my bad, I want to use the wrong verbiage, a significant percentage of individuals with the COVID-19 virus lack symptoms. It says, unless you already have your own personal use mask that cannot be donated, the fabric face coverings recommended are not surgical masks or N95 respirators. These are critical supplies that must be continued to be reserved for healthcare workers and first responders. All right. So once again, you can use a bandana, you can use a handkerchief, you can use a scarf, right? You do not need to go out and buy the N95, the N99, the CV type of mask, right? That is more for the individuals that are going to be in those rooms with a whole bunch of patients, with a whole bunch of individuals that have confirmed positive cases of COVID-19, right? That is for them to be able to have that protective measure. When you're out around in the open space, when you're out even in Walmart, which is open, a somewhat open space, it's nice to have that high level protection and precaution, but it is not needed as much as it is for our first responders who are engaging in that situation day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute. Okay, let's help take care of our first responders by not over purchasing items we may not need. Okay. And then it also says wearing a face covering is not a substitute for maintaining 6 feet social distancing and hand washing, as these remain important steps to slowing the spread of the virus. So I don't know if many of you have kind of looked at some of the videos going out now or some of the messaging that even as you wear gloves, right? It's the gloves are to protect you from touching something that may be COVID-19. But if you are not washing those gloves before you go from one engagement to the next, you may be spreading COVID-19 that's stuck to your glove. So it's a piece of definitely take care of yourself wearing gloves, wearing masks, but also be aware that it's there to protect you. It does not necessarily mean it's protecting anybody else you engage with if you still don't do the proper washing, if you still don't do the proper changing of gloves from one engagement to the next, right? It's great to want to have our employees at fast food places wear gloves when they're handing you the food and stuff. But if they're not washing those gloves and they're not taking the proper cautions, right, is as if they're not wearing gloves anyways, right? So let's please make sure that we stay up to date on the most relevant information when it comes to precautions and it comes to safety measures. And then the last thing here I wanted to read on this is the fabric face covering should be secured with ties or ear loops, include multiple layers of fabric, and be able to be laundered and machine dried without damage or change to shape. Okay, so I hope most of you were able to get the information that I share with you. I believe that the actual official county order that's signed that I received will be posted on the Travis County website before the end of the day. We'll have it posted most likely as well. But I wanted to get this information out to you as soon as possible, especially since this is going to begin this evening. Now I'm going to kind of take a real quick look and see what comments I may have in here. So bear with me one second. Let's see here. So I guess someone asked here, the Manor Independent School District just released a situation information about an individual regarding the food delivery aspect. I have not had a chance to engage with the school district or Dr. Avery on this, but that is going to be one of the things I do engage with today, just to get some more information on my end. Right, I have full faith and confidence within the school district and Dr. Avery and what they're doing to keep you all informed, uh, and that they will take the necessary precautionary measures to revamp and adjust as needed to make sure you and your families are safe, especially regarding food that they are issuing out to you. Let's see here. So someone asked about family bike rides. Yes, family bike rides, family activities are still permitted. It's just basically if you and your family are riding and you happen to have two other people that are not in your family riding with you, they need to be that social distance away from you. Okay. Outdoor activities, you can still do outdoor activities with others, right? So you have the golf course, you have other individuals that do CrossFit, right? So you can still do that. You can still do that outdoors as long as you're maintaining the spacing and as long as you're not going above the number of individuals, the gathering number. Okay, so that is still permittable. I know some people were highlighting, about parks. Um, City of Austin's parks are closed just like ours are, except for the walking trails in the bike areas. Same thing with Pflugerville, right? Parks at the state level by the governor have been closed. Those have to be manned through state employees. So it makes sense that the governor wanted to close those down because there's no need to have those employees working there, staying there, and having those large parks open for people to kind of hop in a car to go drive that distance to go to those parks, which are outside of any kind of where city parks are, a little bit more centralized, a little more specific for local populations, right? Let's see here. Uh, Still reading. What about school resuming? Um, Always in constant dialogue with, again, Dr. Avery, our superintendent, with the school board, Monique Celadon, and Elmer Fisher. They are waiting to receive additional guidance from the TEA commissioner, Mr. Mike Morath. So we are dialoguing. I mean, before I even come to you all and present this information, I'm having these conversations with the school district so they can start doing their own internal planning and adjustments as needed before I present to the community, because I know you're going to have different types of questions, maybe some questions that we're not thinking about, so they can at least be in a proactive mode of trying to respond to what you all may need to know about. As far as the new order being extended out to May 8th, I'm pretty sure that's going to have a significant influence, most likely, because I know Governor Abbott just redid and re-signed his disaster clause that went into May as well. So the schools will have to automatically adjust to that as far as anything outside of the orders. They're really trying to take guidance from the TEA commissioner, because any closures and extensions, you're also talking about what is the financial impact to the employees of the district, and some of those financial aspects and capacities are contingent upon the governor and the TEA commissioner. Uh, Says how many COVID positive cases are in the city of Manor and how many in unincorporated areas. So because of HIPAA policies, it is somewhat difficult for us to be able to delve down into where within the zip code these cases are at, right? But what I can tell you is you can always go to the Travis County dashboard for the city of Manor. We currently have listed 13 cases. Now, does not mean we have 13 cases right now. That means we've had 13 cases since the inception of this whole process, right? So just as you look at the parking lot in Walmart, the parking lot at the golf course, and you're looking at these numbers on the dashboard. uh, that does not tell the full story of what is really going on. We have 13 cases since last month when everything has started. Everything has started pretty much March 13th. So you're talking about at least 13 cases ever since March 13th, right? Some of those may be recovery. We don't know. They do not have the breakdown of recovery by city yet. Uh, let's see here. A lot of people still asking about bikes. Yes, you can rent your bikes. Nobody said you can't rent your bikes. You can go. I know someone here in my HOA does their rollerblades. You can do your rollerblades. It is an outdoor activity. There's nothing preventing that outdoor activity. The only thing that is preventing uh, regarding outdoor activity is whether or not you are with your family or you're with other individuals. If you're with other individuals that are not your family, you have to maintain that social distancing. The parks the parks itself is closed. However, the bike paths, the walk paths, if there's places to hike in the park, those are open. Those are not closed. All right. So please make sure y'all spread that word. Y'all get that word out. Okay. I would hate for people to think that the golf course is able to do one thing that everybody else is not able to do. Okay. Let's see what else here. Um, It says, will criminal activities such as burglary, vandalism be dealt with harshly during this time? So, I'll be honest with you. If you have a video of it, if you have the information, you have the five W's, the who, what, when, where, why, as much as possible, right? Then our police officers, the sheriffs, can be able to do something. With this order and more restrictions being placed here, it is going to be somewhat very complicated for our police officers to be able to make it out to every instance, right? So we need you in the community to be able, if something happened, if you have a ring, if your next door neighbor has a ring or anything that can help capture and document, right? Uh, if you're able to provide as much information as possible, it will make it easier for uh, our authorities, our legal authorities, to be able to do what they need to do to make sure that as though we're going into more restrictive and more confining and more finable offenses, that those major things that would still get a fine, even if we weren't in this situation right now with the pandemic, are still going to happen. Uh, Judicial procedures are still occurring. The county sheriffs have different guidance than our police officers, who have different guidance from the EMS services. So please make sure, if you feel, I know there was an incident that happened down at Ghost Town, which is very unfortunate. But if you feel that you may have a business or an establishment that may be susceptible to vandalism, please reach out and get the guidance from our chief, from City Hall, on what you can do to help us, help them be able to action that issue as soon as possible for you. All right. And then also to set an example to hopefully mitigate and prevent others from wanting to do that. So hopefully I have answered everybody's questions. If you have any additional concerns, please feel free to reach out to City Hall, and please be on the lookout for the order itself so you can read it. Please pass it along to all the different business owners and organizations that we have within the City of Manor. But thank you, and I hope you have a blessed evening and a blessed week.